Foreign direct investment driving development. Sustainable growth through knowledge transfer. Technology as a solution. Innovation as a way forward. Over 70 ministers, 140 countries, over 500 exhibitors, 8,000 square meters of exhibition, 15,000 businessmen and investors. The annual investment meeting, sustainable development through FDI-induced innovation and technology transfer.
Good afternoon. For those of you who saw the video, that is a reminder of what you are missing because you are not in the Philippines. So my first challenge to you is come and visit us in the Philippines. The Philippines is no longer the sick man of Asia, it is the rising tiger of Asia. Macroeconomic stability, fiscal situation improving, and Mr. Kinishi of the World Bank has testified that this is what's happening in the Philippines. The growth of the ASEAN region will be led by the Philippines in the next 5 years, according to the OECD on the economic outlook for Asia. The growth forecasts for 2015 and 16 are 6.6% and 6.4%, reflecting the boost in lower global oil prices, anticipated pickup in government spending from the low base in 2014, says Mr. Shanaka Peri of the International Monetary Fund. The factors that powered private consumption in 2014, growth in employment, modest inflation, higher inflows of remittances are expected to support solid growth for the next year. Who said that? Mr. Richard Bolt of the Asian Development Bank. Different people in different places have said that the Philippines has sustained economic growth not only for this year, but for the next 5 years. Look at their GDP numbers. In 2014, we grew 6.1% out of a growth of 6.9% in the fourth quarter. Why only 6.1%? Simply because the first 3 months of the year was affected by Typhoon Haiyan, which hit us in the third quarter of 2013 and carried on in GDP in 2014. Look at the headline inflation, 4.1% average, also reflecting the effects of Typhoon Haiyan because the high prices following inflation following that disaster. But look at where we are today in January, February 2014, 2.4%. The economist will tell you that if you have high economic growth coupled with low inflation, what happens is you have a very vibrant economy. Where is it coming from? Where is that 6.9% coming from? Coming from industry, manufacturing resurgence in the Philippines. It's coming from services sector, 6% growth versus previous year, and that's on the supply side. On the demand side, household consumption expenditure at 5.4%, government expenditure up 1.8%, and capital formation on fixed capital formation coming into the country at 8.6%. What characterizes the growth in the Philippines? High consumption growth. You're looking at overflow of overseas foreign workers' remittances up in 2014 by 6%. In January 2015, flat versus year ago, but we expect that to pick up. As of 2014 October, the Philippines is the third biggest recipient of cash remittances from abroad. Where is the consumption growth coming from? It's also coming from our BPO, KPO employment, which has grown from 1,000 full-time equivalents in 2004 to 1 million full-time equivalents in 2014. And who are in this segment in the country? It's actually the 23-year-olds. The median age in the Philippines is 23 years old. More than half of Filipinos today are less than 23 years old. And look at the factors. High economic growth, low inflation, more jobs, and a low median age in the country will give you long-term growth in the next decades to come. It is institutional. Increasing tourist arrivals is another factor for what's going on. And you see there is renewed global demand for products made in the Philippines. You look at our factors, our merchandise exports are up 9% versus a year ago. Our services exports are up versus 2014. Our actual services sector on BPO, KPO is actually up 16%. Philippines is now a preferred investment destination. You look at our net FDI in the last 5 years, from $1.1 billion in 2010, we have grown 6 times to 6.2 billion in 2014. Our investment climate is improved. You see all those growth numbers in 2014. We are the most popular expansion destination across all of ASEAN and across all of Asia, according to JETRO, a JETRO study. And our investment environment's appreciation is a function of many factors, among which are less linguistic communication problems. 94% of the population speak English. And not only that, we have the best tax incentives and corporate tax holidays available in the whole of ASEAN. We also have the lowest rate of wage increases across the whole region. In fact, by 2018, we would be the best value for money employer in the country, with the wage rates already becoming one of the lowest in the last 5 years. In the next 5 years, you will look at our competitiveness. Our anti-governance and anti-corruption measures have been what's keeping the country alive and up there. The president has made a very strong push towards governance and anti-corruption measures throughout, in terms of the measures that are being given by the World Bank and the Corruption Index, where we are now up 9 points from 85 to 94, and plus 22 places in the World Bank Council Control of Corruption. Credit ratings confirm trust in the economy. You can see that. And of course, our ease of doing business numbers have gone up significantly. A lot to cover in, I think, 7 minutes. But what is the Philippine advantage? Quite simply, I put it in 5 basic factors. One is we have a very rich talent pool. As I mentioned, 94% of the population speak English. It is 97% literate. The country is 97% literate. Plus, if you add to that our changes in our government way of being able to deal with vocational and technical skills and our higher education, in fact, it's even a better picture than what you see even with the K-12 change in our grade schools. When you look at infrastructure, we are going to spend 5% of GDP by 2016. And that means that comes up from 2.5% in 2011 to 2016 at 5%. That means we will triple our infrastructure spending simply because we have our growth in GDP have been increasing, compounded by about 6.5%. And that is important for a country whose economic development has to go, because we need to be able to do the roads, bridges, hospitals, and services to be able to sustain the economy. Critical market access in terms of our strategic location in the middle of Asia. And of course, critical market access because we now have trade preference treaties with different countries in Europe, United States, and across all of Asia and ASEAN. And in fact, we are the only country in Asia that has a free trade agreement with Japan. So if you want to do business with Japan and invest in the Philippines, you can go one-on-one and we can give you free access, free trade preferences when going to Japan. Of course, first-class lifestyle. I don't have to say much about the first-class lifestyle in the Philippines. It is available, it is there, and it is real. Our incentive schemes are very competitive. If I went through the detail of our competitive investment schemes, it would take me half a day. But if I get to the details of our investment incentives, it will take you half an hour to decide you will invest in the Philippines. Our trade and investment opportunities in the Philippines. We need more bilateral merchandise trade with the UAE. Right now, our exports are in terms of food, electronics, and dried or fresh processed pineapples. And what we import from the UAE, our biggest import, of course, is petroleum oils and basically and liquid natural gas from the UAE. But more important than that, there is a list of preferred activities in our investment priorities plan for 2014 and 16, whereby you can enumerate all the different areas that we put special incentives on to be able to drive investments into the country from 2014 to 2016. That is reviewed every year, and there is premium on which areas these are going to be provided for within the whole country. Together with our IPAs, which Mr. Arnuka will talk to you about in a while, this is an area where we would be able to give incentives on preferred activities. As far as our export activities, we have a mandatory list of sectors by which we would be able to give incentives as long as they're, for example, mining, energy and gas, tourism. These are areas where we will be able to give mandatory incentives as defined by law. When you look at the UAE, what are the opportunities in investment that you could look at? One, of course, is PPP projects. We have $20.8 billion worth of PPP projects that are going to be bid out in the next 2 to 3 years. And this involves infrastructure development in areas such as roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, even prisons if you need one. Manufacturing, of course, we also have, in manufacturing is a big priority for us. We have a manufacturing resurgence program. Tourism is number 3 in our list of areas with which the UAE can participate. Agribusiness, food, processed food, energy, and of course oil and gas to complete the list of 6. So in summary, doing business in the Philippines, why? The Philippines is a ready market. We have 100 million people, all educated, all English proficient, and we are the gateway to ASEAN, to the 600 million other people in the ASEAN area. There is global acceptance of the Philippines as an investment destination with all what we have in terms of incentives and packages. We are being hailed in Europe, in the United States, and of course within Asia as the investment destination of choice and cost, of course, among all countries currently today in ASEAN. We are gaining competitiveness, and I would like to quote the President in saying, good governance is good economics. And because of the good governance that has been done in the Philippines in the last 3 years, I would guarantee you there is good economics coming out of good governance and a follow-through on some of the corruption prosecutions that have been done plaguing the Philippines over the last decades. And of course, to be mentioned, the Filipinos are the dependable, hard-working, resilient workforce that can only be proven. I can only see it in the Philippines, where we have a lot of Filipinos here in service, a lot of Filipinos here in industry. And in the Philippines, the work ethic of the Filipino is unquestionable. So ladies and gentlemen, invest in the Philippines. It is your business. It is our people. And thank you very much for your time. We will have more time at the open forum in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Usec Manalo. For the second presentation, we'd like to hear from Mr. Christopher Lawrence Arnuco, Chairperson and Administrator of the Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone Authority, who will give us a presentation on opportunities in investment promotion agencies, or IPAs, and their respective areas of excellence.
Thank you very much. Well, first and foremost, we wish to thank the organizer for inviting us over and to give us this opportunity to actually present to you the promise of investing in the Philippines. As what was elucidated by our good Undersecretary, we wish to present to you the good news of the Philippines, and that the reason why we're here is that we want you to be part of that good news in the voyage towards the future. Certainly, many of the experts and colleagues from all over sectors, including international financial institutions, have already said that the Philippines, if I may, is poised to become a rising star of Asia, a regional star with well-resourced islands and renowned capable workforce. Who said this, as what was mentioned, no less than Mr. Nakao of the Asian Development Bank. This assertion has been well supported by no less than the president of World Bank, Mr. Jim Yong Kim, when he said the Philippines is the next Asian miracle. Therefore, it is more best for you to actually take a closer look into the Philippines and see which part of the country were you able to really be part of the growth and be part of the investment schemes that we want. Now, why are we strong? Our good Undersecretary mentioned 5 key areas, and I wanted to expand them further into 10 magical indicators. Namely, our economy is stable, we have strong inflow of OFW or overseas Filipino workers remittances to the Philippines, we have a steady export growth, steady investment flow, and above all of this, as what was mentioned, of course, our greatest resource, our most precious resource, is our dynamic workforce, or the Filipino, a world-class worker elsewhere in the world. And I don't have to explain it to you, because certainly you have experienced them here and elsewhere else in the world. Aside from that, of course, while it is easy for many companies to actually invest in the Philippines, it is equally easy for companies to actually export back their investments to any part of the world. The President in 2013 signed a law that allowed foreign banks, so full operation of foreign banks in the Philippines, and of course foreigners can own up to 100% of the capital stock of any domestic bank. This is which is allowed now in the Philippines. Now, in the forefront of this growth and this positive performance of the Philippines are IPAs. We have 17 investment promotion agencies, of which I do represent. At the forefront of that, we have the Board of Investment, who is here. Now, among these investment promotion agents, we have divided ourselves into 4 areas of excellence, non-exclusive 4 areas of excellence, of which anybody can actually participate and expand. But however, for companies that would want to focus on a specific area or goal, then they could actually be told to go to a particular IPA. For instance, in the area of manufacturing and logistics, certainly the Philippines offer BCDA, or the Basis Conversion Development Authority, the Clark Development Corporation. We have the Subic Bay, PEZA, or the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, as well as the Freeport area of Bataan. In the case of Clark, it is now envisioned to be a premier logistic hub, a modern industrial estate, and a preferred service center in the Philippines. Its location in the Asia Pacific is given advantage for today's global business. It is also supported by modern infrastructure with a vast land area, generous fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, and a pool of highly skilled and English proficient labor force. Of course, we have also the BCDA, or the Basis Conversion Development Authority, which is mandated to convert and develop former military bases into civilian and economic use. BCDA is the force behind the development of Bonifacio Global City, McKinley Hill, Newport City, and Subic-Clark-Tarlac Expressway, a 94-kilometer world-class tollway. Right now, BCDA is building and developing a new metropolis in a 9,450 hectares of land in the central part of the Philippines, which is in Luzon. In the area of information technology and business process outsourcing, as you might have seen it already in our booth, we are now the leading country when it comes to BPO, or business process outsourcing. If Spain, which I mentioned in several meetings I've had, language accounts for 15% of Spanish GDP. In the case of the Philippines, it accounts close to 10%, from 8 to 10% actually. And later on in the presentation, I'll tell you the good story about outsourcing much of their services in the Philippines. In the case of the information and technology area, we have the Cagayan Freeport. We have the Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority, the Poro Point Management Corporation, John Hay Management Corporation, Cagayan Economic Zone, as I've mentioned, Tourism Promotion Board, Philippine Retirement Authority, and the APECO, or the Aurora Pacific Economic Zone and Freeport Authority. And lately, we have nominated Zamboanga Ecozone to join the group of companies, the group of IPAs that are actually promoting BPOs. An equally important cluster, of course, in this area is the Mindanao Agribusiness Cluster, of which I belong to. We have also here Secretary Lou Antonino, who will explain further about MINDA, or the Mindanao Development Authority. The Mindanao Development Authority was created to promote and coordinate the active participation of all sectors to effect the socio-economic development of Mindanao, the southern part of the Philippines. At present, MINDA serves as Mindanao's lead agency in coordinating and integrating development efforts that bring about increased socio-economic development in Mindanao. Related to industrial parks, of course, we offer the Regional Board of Investment of the Autonomous Region for Muslim Mindanao, FIBIDEC Industrial Authority, and the Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone Authority, of which I have the privilege to lead. Now, allow me some few minutes to explain to you about Zamboanga Ecozone. The Zamboanga Economic Zone Authority, as you are well aware of, is a city in the western part of Mindanao. It has a total land area of about 16,000 hectares, which is one of the gateways to the Bimp-Iaga region, which is a sub-region of the ASEAN. As what was expounded earlier during one of the leaders' debates, ASEAN is one key area or building block, economic block in the world that is now being focused as one of the greatest resources in terms of FDIs, inflow as well as outflows. Therefore, we are one of the gateways to a 57 million consumer base coming from Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, East ASEAN growth area. We also envision ourselves to participate in a global market on halal. As you are well aware, halal present is already about 2.1 trillion US dollars global market that is available elsewhere. It's not only focused on food, but rather it also involves ingredients and additives, pharmaceutical products, cosmetics, as well as Islamic finance, logistics, among many others. In the case of Zamboanga, we have actually allotted an area of which we're looking for companies to actually come and invest in developing this real estate property to house much of these industries or much of these particular activities under the halal industry. One of the government arm, particularly the National Commission on Muslim Filipino, it's an office under the Office of the President, has signed a memorandum of agreement with the Zamboanga Economic Zone to actually declare us as one of the key areas in the introduction of halal, and particularly participation of halal to the rest of the world. With regard to BPOs, as you are well aware, in the case of the Arab world, there are about 2 million Filipinos working here. And definitely in UAE alone, there are about 600 to 800,000 Filipinos working. Most of them, as soon as they retire, they come home to the Philippines. It's a rich pool of people that can actually speak Arabic. And there's a huge opportunity for you to actually venture into BPOs serving the Arabic world. In the case of Spanish, we're so fortunate that Zamboanga City speaks Chavacano or Spanish Creole. Therefore, it's quite easy to train us, Zamboangueños, to actually just conjugate and actually convert much of our language to that of Spanish. And of course, as what was mentioned earlier by Undersecretary Chito Manalo, is that 94% of our population speaks English. Therefore, it is quite easy for us to communicate with the rest of the world. So how many jobs has it created in the Philippines so far? The BPO has created 1 million jobs, and we're asking you to be part of it. It's a thriving investment, it's a thriving business in the Philippines. Other activities that you can focus on Mindanao. Mindanao is known to be the food basket of the Philippines, and in our region, we actually offer champion products, or these are natural products that you can actually find from the region. Mainly, we have rubber, seaweeds, coconut, all kinds of products of coconut, from cocoa water to desiccated coconut to cocoa pit, cocoa coir, activated carbon, which is now being used globally. You can actually find them and source them out from that particular region. We also have processed food. We actually contribute 75 to 80% of the national demand on processed fish or canned fish, particularly sardines. 11 of the biggest companies out of the 13 known sardine brands in the Philippines are located in Zamboanga City. We also export mangoes to Malaysia and Indonesia, as well as we have what we call, as what the good ambassador is wearing, Manila hemp, or a major producer as well of abaca. For these areas, these are the areas in the region where we could actually offer you as a prospective site for you to invest. We offer very low lease rates for this area, which I'll present to you later. However, the resource is there. You can tap the resource and sell it all over the world. These are the products that we offer, the champion products of the region, and what are particular areas of production that you can actually do. What we're trying to encourage now is value added on the processes of these particular products. May it be coconut, rubber, tapioca or cassava, mango, among many others. Given that we are also the sardine capital of the Philippines, as part of the integrated industry, we are also trying to invite companies to actually look and locate in Zamboanga. Again, I've said we have 11 of the biggest canning factories, and we actually support 75% to 80% of the national demand for canned food. And so fishing is a natural activity for Zamboanga Peninsula. Therefore, we are looking for investors into shipbuilding and ship repair. As of now, the Philippines, particularly Subic Bay, is home to the 4th largest shipbuilding construction, which is Han-Chin in the world. It's now found in the Philippines. Therefore, we're inviting everybody else to look into other parts of the Philippines, particularly down south, on this perspective of putting up a shipbuilding facility or a ship repair facility. On a strategic investment project, Zamboanga Economic Zone is also inviting investors to actually look into developing a world-class international port terminal or with a cargo terminal as well. Now, why do we need this? Again, as I've said earlier, we are one of the gateways to the BIMP-IAGA region. With the onset of ASEAN integration by the end of this year, we're looking at more free flow of goods and services, particularly coming from this rich region. And therefore, constructing one of the world-class shipping port in that area would really help us much in terms of our participation with the rest of the world. This is just to give you an idea of how much is it to lease in the Philippines. Now, as you can see, basically, if you lease for a square foot of an area, it is equally almost free for you to actually invest in the Philippines and enjoy all fiscal incentives that we offer, both from office spaces or lowland, as well as even a highland area. When it comes to, a minimum wage, the good undersecretary presented to you a comparison of minimum wage within the region. Now, I would like to bring it to more specific minimum wage per cities. We base it actually on cities that have English as a second language or English as a medium of instruction, particularly coming from these particular cities. As you can see, Zamboanga City offers the most affordable wage rate there is in the region, and particularly in that area. Hence, you have a world-class workforce at a very affordable rate. In terms of pricing on rent as well as living condition, Zamboanga City offers the cheapest, or I would say the most affordable, yet people are able to consume much of the products and the services that you would wish to offer. As what was presented earlier, major driver of our economic growth is basically domestic consumption and services. And domestic consumption, as you can see, people can actually buy more in the case of the Philippines. So what do you have to do? I invite you to see us, talk to us, and tell us how you would wish to participate in this growth and these successes that we have. Imagine this. I invite you to imagine this. Your company, your investment, your technology, combine it, fuse it with a world-class worker, the Filipino, your company, your product, your services will simply be the best in the world. As we say it, your investment, we value your investment, we value your business as we equally value our people. Therefore, we invite you to come to the Philippines, have a closer look into the Philippines, particularly in the IPAs, in the investment promotion agencies. They are here, and including my investment promotion agency, and invest in the Philippines. The people that you see here, the dignitaries that you see here, are the very people that can help make these opportunities happen for you. Again, as they say, when it's doing business, it's always more fun to do business in the Philippines. Maraming salamat po. Muchísimas gracias a todos.
Thank you, Chris. Now for the last but not the least presentation, we'd like Secretary Luwalhati Antonino to give us a presentation on Mindanao's growth potential.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I will just talk about Mindanao, which is found in the most southern part of our country. We're active players in the sub-regional economic cooperation called the, you have been hearing BIMP-IAGA, must wondering what it is. It is Brunei, Darussalam, Indonesia, Philippines, East Asian Growth Area, or we call it the BIMP-IAGA. This is the economic cooperation. This economic cooperation was born in 1994 in Davao City, which is one of the mega cities in Mindanao. Owing to its geographic advantage, Mindanao and the BIMP-IAGA have become a test bed for ASEAN programs and policies, particularly in trade, transport, tourism, and investment. When I took leadership of the Mindanao Development Authority some 5 years ago, we launched the Mindanao 2020 Peace and Development Framework Development Framework Plan, or the Mindanao 2020, a 30-year long-term framework plan for Mindanao, which outlines key spatial strategies that will help pave the way for a connected and globally competitive Mindanao. This spatial strategy has been translated into what we now know as the Mindanao Growth and Development Corridors. Development Corridors optimizes the growth of the regions based on their potentials and strategic roles in the overall development of the island economy. Mindanao has 3 development corridors. The Northern Mindanao, this corridor envisioned to be a world-class industrial and service centers owing to its public infrastructure suited for industrialization, presence of ecozones, and the location of industrial and agribusiness enterprises. The South Central Mindanao Development Corridor. The strength of this corridor is in its being the chief source of the country's major agriculture products. More than half, or 50% of Mindanao's agricultural and agri-industrial produce such as bananas, pineapples, tuna, rubber, and others are found in this area. It has a fairly strong ecotourism potentials as well. This is the country's gateway to the Bimp-Iaga Sea trade between this cluster and the major urban areas of Sabah and the Sultanate of Brunei Darussalam. Currently, and this is existent right now. This corridor is the top producer of fishery-based products such as sardines, dried fish, and tuna, and representing 60% of Mindanao's fishery production. The major projects in the development corridors are as follows. Investing in infrastructure development in Mindanao is a key thrust of the President Aquino's administration, especially so that Mindanao is touted as the country's and BIMP-Iaga's food and agribusiness hub and the next logistics center of ASEAN. Let me now enumerate some of the major transport, tourism, and logistic projects in Mindanao development corridors, which are potential areas for investments. First is the Mindanao Railways System Project. The system will have 6 segments that will span entire area of Mindanao. This involves the construction of modern railroad tracks and the construction of terminals in strategic areas along the railroads where trading posts will also be established. The project will provide a transport alternative for moving goods and people in Mindanao. General Santos City Airport Industrial Complex. General Santos City, the tuna capital of the Philippines, of course, and also I just happen to come from that city, and we have one important person from there. As you well know, this is Manny Pacquiao, the boxer, and the location is a strategic location is envisioned to be a completely a new city. The location of the industrial complex is strategic since it is situated within the proximity of General Santos International Airport and the Fishport Complex. Another area is the Davao South Marina and Industrial Park. It is also in Davao del Sur, which is ably represented today. I don't think he was able to come, Governor Bautista. It is home to the Davao South Marina Industrial Park project. This is a proposed eco city by the sea around the Tubalan Cave in Malita, Davao del Sur, integrated into 1,000 hectares scenic backdrop. Its planned components include a 600 megawatt power plant, shipyard, building facilities, leisure facilities, hotels, marina, and yacht club. Other PPP or public-private sector partnership for bidding, the Davao International Airport Operations and Maintenance. It is the 3rd busiest airport in the country. Operation and maintenance of the airport, as well as provision for additional facilities and other necessary improvements to enhance passenger safety, security, efficiency, and operational efficiency is open for PPP under a defined concession period. The Davao Sasa Port modernization. Another PPP project is Davao City Port with an estimated cost of $422 million. The private sector partner will finance the construction and modernization of the existing port and will be responsible in operating and maintaining the port. And of course, Zamboanga Zone was presented earlier, and we have other tourism projects. Is of course, Mindanao has very great potential tourism destination. It has a spectacular landscapes and varied array of tourist attractions for various interests, including history, culture, adventure, and natural beauty. It hosts the country's largest river basins and the country's tallest mountain. There is also a project of the Davao City. It is called the Three Ridges Integrated Area Development with three destination areas. The Mindanao has consistently been a net exporter of agricultural-based products with earnings reaching to 4.2 billion in 10 to 12. With the increasing world appetite for chocolates and confectionaries and a projected deficit of about from 5 million metric tons, there is a shortfall of demand. There is shortfall for about 1 million metric tons of cacao by the year. Mindanao intends to which has 1.6 million hectares of coconut farms, intends to plant cacao, intercrop with the cacao. We're starting with 200,000 hectares. Poultry is also another area where Mindanao has strong potentials. Our current capacity of chicken per year has to catch up to meet increasing demand for poultry and poultry products. With me today are some of our major poultry producers. I think there is Mr. Viclao and Mr. C. They're listening in, and Mr. Suy of Ana Breeders and the Mindanao Islamic Chamber of Commerce. And they're ready to talk business, people. Now, what we are proud of in Mindanao, which we have overcome. 2 years ago, we had a terrible lack of power. We had 9 to 10 hours of brownout. But now, 2 years after, because of Mindanao's resiliency, we are stable in the supply, actually. We might even have an excess supply of energy. And what we are planning right now, though, is to maintain our mix of renewable energies and fossil fuels at a 50-50 mix. And so that we have ready plans for hydropower and ready to assist anybody who wants to invest in hydropower plants. In my closing, while the Philippine economy has rapidly expanded during President Aquino's term, bringing the Philippines into the ranks of ASEAN's best economic performers, we note that a commensurate impact on reducing unemployment has yet to be felt by our people in Mindanao. We believe that we need for FDIs that would provide jobs to our people and will substantially assist us in our aim of inclusive growth. Thus, we are here now participating in AIM 2015 to promote foreign direct investment. As I said in my introduction, now is the best time to invest in the Philippines, particularly in Mindanao, as a multitude of positive factors are happening in making the country a preferred investment. Finally, allow me to invite you to come to the Philippines and to come to Mindanao. There's a regular flight to to the that connects Dubai to Manila and Manila directly to other Dubai, also Abu Dhabi, to other parts of the country in Mindanao. Good afternoon, mabuhay po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Sec. Lou Antonino. We're running a bit short of time, so we'll have some minutes for 2 questions. Anybody from the floor would like to ask questions from our speakers? Questions? Anyone? If not, we have a booth in the AAM here in Hall 6. If you have specific questions to any of our speakers, please visit our booth in Hall 6. Representatives from the investment promotion agencies will be there, would be happy to welcome you and answer your specific questions. So if there are no more questions, I'd like to invite the speakers, Ambassador and Consul General, to please come up stage for a photo op.